And especially since Jefferson City, well, let me back up. Last year, Governor Nixon made it possible for this, in the state of Missouri, for local communities to form clean energy boards and evaluate applications to make special property assessments to help homeowners with the upfront costs of both energy efficiency improvements as well as renewable energy systems, not just solar energy systems. It's been a topic of interest amongst our membership, especially with the downturn in the economy. Solar electric systems are rather expensive. We have some excellent incentives, and this is a nice segue to introduce P.J. Wilson, who is the sponsor, along with his organization, Renew Missouri, for the P.A.C.E. Ballot initiative that passed in 2008 that has given us a renewable portfolio standard. And that's the basis of the incentives that we have for renewables in Missouri. But the main hurdle right now for a lot of homeowners is the upfront cost, which can be thousands of dollars. Once the system is installed, the incentives right now are very favorable if you're a customer of a utility like Ameren, or even here in Columbia Water and Light gives a 50-cent per watt rebate. So I want to introduce P.J. Wilson. He's going to give a presentation to tell us a little bit more, just what is P.A.C.E., how does it work, what's the current status, and then we'll move into a panel discussion. We have Nathan Nicholas here representing the Jefferson City, who just recently has adopted P.A.C.E., and they're in the process of forming their Clean Energy Board. So he'll be able to answer questions about what's going on down in Jefferson City that might help. If I imagine most of you are from the Columbia area as opposed to Jeff City. I recognize a lot of faces. I know you live more up here. So, PJ, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready right now. See if you can show me how to make this full screen. And,
okay. I can work on that.
Okay, I'm P.J. Wilson. Half of you know me, I think, the other half. I'm with Renew Missouri. Renew Missouri is a small nonprofit in Columbia. Their office is St. Louis, too. We work to advance renewable energy policy in Missouri, so we've got more clean, renewable energy on the line, electricity grid. We recently took on energy efficiency, too. So we're focused on more renewable energy and smarter use of the energy that we do have, wherever it comes from. And a wonderful fit was this P.A.C.E. policy that got passed last year. Our organization, for the first time, decided we'd get real organized and plan ahead of time before the legislative session. What policies do we want to pass? So we picked 3 policies. We went around the state fall of 2009, and we said, these are the 3 policies we're going to pass. In December, someone called us up and said, we've got this other policy we want to do, this P.A.C.E. thing. Think we can do it? No way. We're already full. We've already got our priorities identified. The only way we could do this is if maybe you guys came up with the first draft of the language, then we could work on it. Well, they found a great lawyer in St. Louis that did the first draft of the language, and by golly, it ended up that this was the policy that passed last session. Our 3 priorities we picked didn't pass, but this one that came in at the last minute ended up passing also at the last minute of session. So property assessed clean energy passed May of last year. Governor signed it into law in June, and it is now August 28th of last year it went into session. So as of right now, it is legal in this state to have a property assessed clean energy program. What does that mean? I will talk about it, and I have someone that knows more about it than I do, actually. John Harris, sitting in the back of the room there. He's going to share some words with you as well, and we'll also hear about how this is actually getting off the ground in Jeff City. So, sure. So, where does our energy come from? This might be preaching to the choir here, I suspect, but so most of our energy comes from coal. Why is that a problem? Well, environmental impacts, cost impacts, what's going to happen to the price of coal in the future. We're very vulnerable. If we could pick any of those technologies and have 85% from it, we'd probably be pretty vulnerable in some ways. Well, we're vulnerable in some very specific ways because we're so dependent on coal. And Renew Missouri's angle on this is to take that wind and renewable piece of the pie and grow it as quickly as possible. We feel it's pretty urgent to do so. So what we do, nonprofit, we like to say that we do a good job of. Sometimes people think we do, sometimes people think we don't, but we like to say we do a good job of bringing stakeholders together, talk about issues, and move together common sense policy as quickly as possible. Okay, next slide. So we noticed after the 2008 ballot initiative, how many of you were involved in collecting signatures for or voting on the issue of P.A.C.E. in 2008? Okay, that was our project in 2008. Net metering was 2007, got that in place. 2008, met Jeff Owens, so thank God we ended up with enough volunteer signatures to get that thing on the ballot. And we succeeded at it. So we're still working on the implementation, but we thought after that big win, well, what do we do next? And we looked around and we said, oh, by golly, we are missing out on a lot of opportunities in energy efficiency. So last year we started to turn our targets, our sights on energy efficiency as well. We saw, well, we're one of the worst states in the nation energy efficiency-wise. So let's see what we can do for energy efficiency as well. Ended up P.A.C.E. does both things, renewable energy and energy efficiency. What is P.A.C.E.? Voluntary program. No one's mandated to do anything. It just enables this to exist in Missouri if there's actually the appetite to go forward with it. It enables cities or counties or groups of cities or counties to come together and create these things called clean energy development boards. Now, once you have a clean energy development board, they become a legal entity, a political subdivision, subdistrict of Missouri, and they have the ability to issue bonds for millions of dollars. So let's get together a huge pot of money, and then let's use that money to allow property owners. How many people here are homeowners? Okay, excellent. So unless you're really in trouble because of the recent economic situation, you probably have some amount of equity in your home. And the idea is, okay, you own your home. The municipalities, governments right now have the ability to issue bonds and take that bond money and pay it for things that are good for the public interest. Sewer lines, roads, whatever. The concept with P.A.C.E. is that it's in the public interest to have more solar panels out there. More energy efficiency means less money spent globally on those issues. So, can I ask, how many people on my already know everything I'm talking about? I'm not sure the level that you're at. Okay. Okay. How many people is this pretty new information for? Okay. I'll go along at a similar pace. Apologize to those of you that already know this stuff, and apologize if I'm going too fast for those of you that hear it the first time. So you own your house, you own some property, and you want to put some insulation in your roof. Maybe you have a house like the one I live in now, where it snows, and you look around on your block and you say, wow, how come there's snow on everyone's roof except for my own? Well, maybe it's because I don't have enough insulation in my attic. What can I do about that? Well, I could pay a couple $1,000 to a contractor to come and put it in, but I don't have a couple $1,000. What am I going to do? I'll just put it off. I'll do it later. Meanwhile, I'll keep paying higher electric bills. It's silly. Here's one solution. If Columbia, Missouri, or Boone County, or this geographic area we're in right now had a P.A.C.E. program up and going, what I could do is say, well, all right, I own some property, I own a house, I want to do this energy efficiency thing, or I want to put some solar panels on my roof, I want to do renewable energy efficiency, I don't have the money to do it, what can I do? This P.A.C.E. program could say, well, we could issue bonds, and you could have some of this money to do this, but you'd have to pay us back. So what I could do is say, all right, well, I pay $1,000 a year in property taxes. How about if I just pay some more to you, the government, the county, for this? And they say, okay, well, we'll do an energy efficiency retrofit on your house. We'll do a renewable energy retrofit on your house. We'll install your insulation in your attic, your solar panels on your roof, and you just pay us back over time. You guys will pay for all of it? Well, yeah, maybe they'll pay for all of it. Maybe they'll pay for most of it. Whatever the deal is, they will help with it. Well, how does that work? Okay, well, let's say if I'm paying $1,000 a month or a year now in my property taxes. Let's say we do a project and that whole project costs $10,000. $10,000 worth of insulation, solar panels, whatever. Well, what I could do is then say, okay, how about if you guys pay for all of that through this bond money that you issued, and then I'll pay you back over up to 20 years. It could be just 20 years, or it could be less than that. If it was $10,000, I could say, all right, I'll pay you back over 12 years, $1,000 a year. $12,000 for that $10,000 covers their financing costs or whatnot. But I'll just pay you the amount of money that I'm going to save on my electric bills anyway. My electric bills go down by $1,000 a year. I'll pay you $1,000 a year, and 12 years from now, it ends up being a good deal. Or I'll pay you $800 a year and save $1,000 a year. The law, because of me, this is the one thing that I made sure and fight for in this law. It's got to be cash flow positive. You can't get in a situation in Missouri with this policy where you end up borrowing money and then saving money on your electric bills but paying more. You end up saving money no matter what happens. You participate in these programs, and it's a good deal financially for you. Now we're going to go through some more slides that spell this out in a little bit more detail. So the benefits of going forward with this is you have this money that exists that wouldn't have otherwise existed. So that means there's probably a job for someone in the municipality that's got to administer this. There's jobs for people, the contractors that go install the insulation and solar panels and whatnot. All that's economic development. I'm not having to spend the money out of my pocket, so that means my disposable income can go into the economy in other places, or heaven forbid, into a savings account, someplace other into this project. Our U.S. policy goals, we're going to get towards more clean energy, get more efficient, we'll go towards that. Equal access is something that it's not just for poor people. People that can afford to pay for this stuff out of their pocket also can benefit from this financing program, because then they can use that money in their pocket for other things in the economy. Yeah, and by the way, you also save money. Okay. This is a tangent in the presentation, so time out, I'm going to do a little commercial. One of the reasons that we're focusing on energy efficiency is that for utility companies, it presents a little conundrum about, well, the utility companies could also help finance this stuff, but we don't quite have that figured out. That's one of the reasons where we have this P.A.C.E policy in place. So take a commercial for my presentation here for a moment. Ameren three weeks ago put out a quote and said, we wouldn't have to build another power plant of any kind for 20 years if we just invested $100 million a year in energy efficiency. And we could also retire the oldest coal power plant that we have. And that would be the cheapest thing for the ratepayers. Energy efficiency is by far the cheapest thing, right? Well, why don't they do that? Well, they don't have the regulatory treatment that they think they should have from the government, so they're going to go for more expensive things that are worse for the ratepayers. There's some things to be worked out on that end. Some other states have those things more worked out, so they have this thing called on-bill financing, where the utility companies will actually pay for these things and you pay them back directly. We don't have that figured out in Missouri. We're working on it. So in the meantime, we're going to switch back to the main presentation about P.A.C.E. All right, so we're not trusting the utility. The utility is capable of financing these sorts of programs. And in Columbia, probably have the best utility. They have some programs available that are probably the best in the state. But this puts the money actually in the hands of the local community. That's a synopsis of that one. Okay. For the homeowners, cash flow increases. You're more protected from future spikes in energy because your electric bill is lower in the first place. You have all this insulation, so when I go to sell my house, hope it's not in the wintertime, somebody comes by to buy it and sees that mine's the only one that doesn't have snow on the roof. You know, okay, my house will be worth more if there's actually these energy efficiency upgrades on the roof. And they look damn sexy, don't they, the solar panels? All right, for the municipalities, Municipality of Columbia, Boone County, group of counties, group of cities, whatever it is, they're not risking their own credit rating. They're not risking their own money. There's circumstances where they can put forward some of their own money if they want. But it's not something that hurts them financially. If anything, it would be helpful financially because they have to charge some administrative costs, so that's probably one job, half a job or one job. Somebody's got to administer this program. And within their municipality, every governor likes to stand